first of all, maybe introduce your companies, if you don't mind, quickly.
Sure. We started out as I won't go back too far, but Signature Wood Systems. We did commercial millwork for the longest time, and then we through some learning and change of events, we went to Best Damn Doors, and so we started manufacturing cabinet doors as Best Damn Doors. And in that transition and a little bit before that, we had hired a lean consultant by the name of Jim Lewis, and he was helping us for probably 5 years. We stayed in touch, and so during all of this transitioning from one company to the next, Jim calls me and he says, "Hey, I'm retiring." And I said, "Oh, great, enjoy the golf course. Cool." And he said, "But I want you to take over the consulting company."
Wow.
And so, I said no, he said yes, I said no, he said yes, and then eventually I agreed. And so, now at that point we have Best Damn Doors, and we've rebranded as Quantum Lean, where we just travel around the world, helping other companies do lean manufacturing. And then through the door company, as the door company is growing and evolving, and we wanted, easier, better, faster, cheaper, we saw the need for some machines that weren't out there. And you might have heard of this guy, Bobby Lewis. I'm not sure. Name rings a bell.
Yeah,
he was talking to him.
Similar. He's about my same height.
Yeah, pretty good looking dude. And we're talking on the phone, and he tells me about a sanding robot that he wants to build for, at the time, Lewis Cabinets. And I said, "Wow, that sounds like a great idea. I'm going to try that too." And so
I love that about you, Brad. You're not afraid to go try something new.
Oh,
You
man.
had a good idea, you just went for it.
It was a long road. It took us about 2.5 years to get it right. But we only built this machine to solve a problem for us, because we had 12 people sanding primer. And
Whoa.
So we built this machine, and it worked so good, like better than we could have ever imagined. We stood back at the end, we looked at it, we said, it's not fair not to help other shops with this technology. So we spun off a machinery building company. This is where I am right now. I don't know if your viewers will ever see that, but we're building robots by the hundreds, what it feels like. And so now we have Stolbeck Machinery, and then through the machinery company, we found some problems with sandpaper, and now we have our own sandpaper line through Stolbeck Supplies. While all that's happening, I'm buying and selling machines all the time, and one particular reseller kind of made me angry. And so we started another company called mywoodfactory.com, where you can go and buy and sell woodworking machinery for free, no commission, no nothing, puts you right in touch with the seller, which is what I always wanted. So, we've got all of these entities kind of like hovering around. But I do believe each one of them solves a real problem in the industry, and we're super passionate about all of them. And so that's why we just can't pick one. We do them all.
What technology, idea, or person in our industry has most influenced you?
Oh, it would be completely unfair to try and pick one person. There's been so many. We go right at the top and talk about Jim Lewis, with the lean and the consulting, and then quickly followed by Paul Akers, quickly followed by Harold Cavallero, who taught us about the manufacturing continuum. Then I met this guy Bobby at a trade show, and I came to see his factory at Lewis Cabinet, and the light bulb went off, and that was what changed the entire way that our thinking. And then the rest is, as they say, is history. And I think that
if you had to pull out the principles that each one of them taught you that would be the most impactful, just kind of one principle per each one of them, what would it be?
Okay, so for sure, I mean, Jim, just like lean thinking, not one principle, but listen, if you're not doing it, go learn it, go read about it, go do something, because it's
correct me if I'm wrong, it's more of a lifestyle, right, than it is.
Yeah.
It changes
totally.
everything about the way you think.
Yeah, it's not like some people like, I'm too busy, it's this extra thing I have to do. It's not. It's just you're going to approach your work one way, or you can change your mindset a little and approach it a different way. It's no extra time in the day. And then, you know, Paul has had an unbelievable impact on me. He's now what I would consider a good friend of mine. We talk all the time, and he's just always there for advice. But the number one thing that he said is that lean is the mother of all invention. And at the time when he told me that, it didn't make a lot of sense. But now that we're building our own machines, I see that, and I'm building those lean principles into all of them. And there's nothing like them out there. And I was like, wow, okay, that was great, you know. Wow. And then, you know, when what I took, well, it was have to give you credit too, but you know, you and Bobby, you said you got to fire yourself.
Yeah.
I remember you telling me specifically, if you have to do something, that's your fault. And I never forgot that. And it's so true. If you're an owner and you're like going crazy, it's hard, but you got to delegate. You got to get a team around you that is like, you know, sees the vision, gets the vision, and you know, anyway. So those are like probably my key takeaways. And yeah. Oh, I can't forget Michael at Yellow Tools too. This guy is like unbelievable. He's over in Germany, but he's always there with you know, some good advice. And my favorite one from him is no guessing, no assuming. And it seems so simple. It's like trivial stuff. Like people want these high-tech answers that are going to solve the world. It's like, no, just no guessing, no assuming.
I remember sitting with Bob Fox, who was one of the co-authors or involved in the book The Goal with Eliyahu Goldratt. And he told us, he said, look, I was consulting a company. It was like Google Glass actually, and they were going through the factory, and he said, I knew that the answer was simple and it was implementable today, and it didn't cost hardly a dime. He said, usually that's how you know if you've got the right solution. And he was able to impact like a Google type company with like a 25% increase with a timer and a fan from Home Depot.
Oh my God. You know? Isn't that reality? That's
so
amazing.
what are some of the, you've been around the industry a lot. You've seen a lot of factories that are both good and bad. What do you feel like is a couple of the principles that, man, I just wish every one of these companies could understand in our industry, because they're so life-changing?
Okay, good question. Right there. Oh, it's probably backwards in the camera.
It is.
If you want to grow, it's gotta flow. And probably one of my favorite Japanese sayings is Genshi Genbutsu, which means go to the source and see for yourself. And it is, I mean, you know, it's probably the best example of that. Probably every shop owner or supervisor in the world can relate to. Every time I walk through the shop floor, something's going wrong, right? And so it's the same thing. If you're not out there seeing what's happening and understanding what's going on, I mean, your people are not you, they're other human beings. So you really have to be close by to guide them along the way. If you're trying to make decisions from the boardroom, it's going to be tough to get it to the shop floor. You know, the telephone game. So
go to the source. What was
hanging out on the shop
Japanese
floor.
Phrase again?
Genshi Genbutsu. Go to the source and see for yourself.
I love it. I actually, because of you, I used to go walk the shop floor when we had our factory every day and just walk and see and watch. And in fact, I remember even standing up on a ladder and just standing there watching and trying to understand the problems, you know. And I stood there for hour and a half, 2 hours, and they're like, oh no, here he goes.
Yeah, the number one thing we do is we watch, and this is a lost art for people. Like, you ask a busy owner, when was the last time you just stood in your factory for 2 hours in the corner, said nothing, did nothing, just stood there and watched? The answer is emphatically never. So that's like number one. It'll blow your mind what you see.
Wow. And then you taught us when you came out to our factory years ago before we sold that.
The waste of human creativity.
That's the one right there.
The eighth deadly waste. Yeah.
Human creativity, I think after you've watched Asking, right? Those guys are out there day in, day out, guys and gals. They know the problems, and yet how often do we actually ask them for the solution?
Yeah.
Right? And I think therein lies the solution usually. And it's simple, doesn't cost very much money, and implementable today, right? Those are kind of the 3 criteria that we always look for. What else is on your mind, Brad? What do you wish every business owner in the industry knew that would add the most impact to their day? If CEO, I'm a CEO, I own a cabinet door manufacturing plant, a drawer box, millwork. What do I need to know?
I think in that, I would like to go back to to the t-shirt, right? If you want to grow, it's got to flow. And because if your growth, and I only know this because I did it wrong, for a long time, but
right.
If you want to grow, if the size of your building, the number of your people, and the number of machines you have is growing at the same level as, say, your sales, you're setting yourself up for disaster, because your stress is going to grow in that same level, and at some point you're just going to tap out. Like, what you need to create more than anything is flow through your factory. If you want to grow, it has to flow. So you want to ask yourself, how can I get more through the system, not build a bigger system? I mean, basically more space just means more carts, more buffers, more everything. Whereas it's like, how do I just get it moving through that same system, but faster? And that get that down before you start spending a huge amount of money on buildings and people and growing. Like, at the door company now, I don't even consider it. I'm like, bigger building? No, never. Think harder. I tell my guys, think harder. We have, this is going to blow your mind, 4,000 square feet. And we have 4 CNCs in there and our entire door making line.
Wow.
4,000 square feet. Nobody in the world produces more dollars per square foot. I shouldn't say that. That sounds terrible, but it's good.
Yeah. You're up there, right? If not the best.
Wow. No, someone is always better. There's no doubt. But it's that would be it, is like, I mean, at some point, you're going to need more machines. You're going to need a bigger building. You're going to need those things. But probably if you haven't undertaken a serious initiative of continuous improvement, or you haven't got someone in there to help you out or do something, then there might still be some, fruit on the vine. Let's get that. And then we'll talk about the big thing. Right?
Yeah.
We can't count how many companies we go to and they just spent like $500K on this new thing, and I'm like, it's gonna slow you down.
Yeah. Because it wasn't even the bottleneck or the constraint, right?
That's exactly right. And the guy who sold you the machine is not, whatever. Don't get me started on that.
It's super common, right, that a machine sales guy isn't lying or being crooked in any way.
No.
Rather showing you the ROI for that local area rather than a global perspective. They're looking in at that local ROI, not considering the fact that somewhere else in the factory, it might be the constraint, the real constraint, holding the rest of the factory back at that level, and therefore there's truly not an ROI at the local level. Well, there is at the local level, but not globally, right? So it kind of negates the purchase of the equipment. If I own a company and I want to get going on a lean journey, where do I start? What do I even look at? How do I know what to do?
I think the first and most important step is sell yourself. There's a million books, like literally a million books. Go read The Toyota Way, go read 2 Second Lean, go read The Goal, go read, whatever. Get yourself convinced.
Paul has a ton of stuff too, right? I mean, for free on his website, and
So that would honestly be my first step. And then the next step is the one that everybody avoids. But what do you do when you want to learn how to play the guitar? You go find an instructor and you sign up for guitar lessons. What do you do when you want to learn how to swim? You go to the pool and you hire a coach and they teach you how to swim. What do you do when you want to be a bodybuilder? You hire a coach and they teach you how to be a bodybuilder. And it's like, we know this innately, but when it comes to our business, I don't know, we're too proud or whatever to ask for help. Yeah. Get yourself a mentor. Get someone who's been there and done that. Get surrounded in people that can give you advice on a how many times do I phone you in a month asking for advice? You're one of my people. And that's the number one thing I think people can do for themselves.
How has Allmoxy impacted your business?
Well, the Allmoxy is why I started the business. I saw Allmoxy first and then decided what I was going to do. I didn't say I'm going to make doors and then buy Allmoxy. I walked into Lewis Cabinets. I said, what's running this? And you said Allmoxy. I said, okay, I'll take that, whatever that is. I didn't even know what it was yet. I'll take that. And now let's go on the plant tour. And so that's, when I was with Bobby, we walked through and then we started setting it up right then and there. And we hadn't looked back. So, and now at this stage of the game, don't take it away. That's, if someone was like, oh, Allmoxy doesn't work anymore, I'd be like, cool, I'm retiring. God, I don't want to do all that work anymore.
Yeah, that's amazing. Awesome.
Yeah, so I think it's not that it has impacted the business, it's created it for us.
Unbelievable. Wow. Very cool. That's good to hear. As a reminder, at our office, have you seen the door that's sitting there? There's this old door and it's framed up. It's in we took it from the chicken coop where my dad started his original door shop. And
no way.
It's got holes in it and it's got phone numbers written on it. And so we call it the first version of Allmoxy because that's where he was storing his data. And it represents a lot for our company in just that we really want to make sure, dad would be out the factory till like 1 a.m. sometimes just working, we watched him throw up one time and like just the stress of running the business, but it was because he always made sure to give us time and then he would go back to work. And so that door is really significant to us, that if we can give a dad or a mom or somebody their time so that they can go spend it where it's most valuable, which is relationships, that's what our day's about. And so to hear that, it just really hits home for us and gives us a lot of validation in what we're doing at Allmoxy. So I appreciate you sharing that, about your business.
No, that's amazing. I think, and it's funny how in line we are with that, because that's our driving force at Quantum Lean, is we're saying like, get to your family, that's the driving force behind this guy. Let him sand. Why are you sanding? Get to your family. So everything, I love how you say that relationship centric view, because that's easy to lose track of when you're busy.
Especially when and you kind of realize some days that the business, it's kind of running me, right? Rather than what did I start this for? And I've told you about that experience that I had on the airplane, and it was just about to back out. The guy a row in front of me, 2 seats to the left, has a heart attack. And he looked up at me right before he clocked out. And I don't know if he lived or not. They hauled his limp body off the airplane. But I remember sitting there thinking to myself, wow, what actually matters right now? And I went home and I changed a lot of things about my day. And it was a good wake-up call for me. And if we can give one business owner, the ability to spend more time in those things that I think did matter for that guy at that moment, then we win. So
I agree. Yeah, that's a really, that stuff for the most of my career, it's been like over the top workaholic, trying to make it work, doing everything the hard way, and until you have those moments and you're like, oh, what? That's it's a necessary evil, but have it in check,
Brad, I'm always motivated, man, when we're chatting. Your way of thinking is so simple yet like productive, you know. There's always progress around every idea and conversation that we have. So I appreciate it.
You're too kind, that's for sure.